Chief Holloway tells me about 16 storage units were involved in the fire, but they're still working to learn more about heat and smoke damage to other ones. You can see the difference as you move south that our southern viewers were hit much harder by this storm, but the main issue around us are these secondary roads. Using a bird is as easy as scan, unlock, and hop on. But new ordinances from City Council could change where you can ride and where you can land. During the incident, concerned residents called about the smell of ammonia, and a reverse 911 call was issued urging them to shelter in place. That will be lifted as soon as crews finish up here. A lot going on in this outfit. Now, the shirt and the pants came in together, but we found everything else here in the store. I have a sword, Polly the parrot, and this is actually my new hair that I'm going to be wearing on the show. I'm about to beat Brad to the bottom of the hill. I'm ready. Go.
Monica Casey has a special report on what each candidate's social media approach says about their election strategy. Monica?
Tim Kaine has raised over $22 million and has spent over $4.5 million on ads. That's according to the Virginia Public Access Project. Meanwhile, Corey Stewart has raised almost $3 million and spent about $297,000 on ads. But Stewart is succeeding in the cheaper arena of social media.
He was not going to have the kind of money that a candidate that is fully backed and has the enthusiasm of the Republican Party was going to have. Tim Kaine has that.
Professor Bruce Williams at the University of Virginia explains it's difficult for Stewart to compete with Kaine in conventional media like buying television ads. That's because Kaine has received about 30,000 small dollar donations, Stewart almost at 900 of those same donations. Williams compares Stewart's 2018 campaign to Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, including their passion for holding live rallies.
It was very important for his supporters to see each other, to come together in a physical space and feel the enthusiasm.
Trump's rallies connected voters from all across the country, but Stewart's campaign is confined to only Virginia. That's where aid from Facebook Live comes in handy.
By showing a video of his a rally, that's an inexpensive way to reaffirm with his supporters how enthusiastic his supporters are.
Not only does Stewart post more often on Facebook, 142 times in October to be exact, Kaine trailed behind with 46 posts. Almost 30% of Stewart's engagements are live videos, sometimes more than once a day, because enthusiasm matters.
Core supporters for Corey Stewart or Donald Trump, they are not a majority of all people that are eligible to vote. But elections turn on turnout.
When we compiled all of Tim Kaine and Corey Stewart's October Facebook posts and sorted by most commented and most shared posts, Stewart had the top 10 posts in both categories. Social media aside, Kaine remains ahead in the polls.
Stewart's social media strategy is to make sure that whatever the percentage of his supporters might be in the general population or the population of voters, that a very high proportion of them are going to go to vote. And he needs social media in the way Tim Kaine doesn't.
Williams says although this is a state election, this year's midterms are unusual as a national referendum on President Trump.
Well, all summer we are showcasing the history of local towns here in the Valley.
In today's Touring Our Towns, Monica Casey shows you the effects of the Civil War, a famous plane landing, and the oldest building in one Rockingham County town.
That's a good story, I thought.
Beverly Garber has lots of good stories.
December 11th, 1868, the first train came through Timberville, Broadway, and went on to Harrisonburg. Okay, this is the old post office building. It was built in 1912 by Charlie Forney. And right here is me.
He's been instrumental in opening the Plains District Memorial Museum, showcasing history of the area.
It was known as Williamsport. Then in 1833, it was known as Thompson's Store. And then in 1850, it was Riddle's Tavern.
The oldest building
You can see how they were notched out, I guess, with an axe.
Dates back to the 1750s. John Ziegler purchased the home in 1816.
One of the main guys that helped establish Timberville, really.
He also built a barn.
And that's where the first worship services in Timberville were held. And
at risk during the Civil War.
They were the old Dunkards. Didn't believe in war. They wouldn't take sides or anything. Yankees lit the brush pile in the garden, and they just rode off. And that's how the barn survived.
The Civil War wasn't the only conflict with an effect on the area.
See one of the guardhouses pretty well, and there's another one back there.
During World War II, 600 people were held.
They worked at the poultry plant and up at Ziegler's Cannery.
In a German prisoner of war camp.
And the farmers would come and take a crew of them out and work on the farms to support. Then they worked in the orchards and so forth. And all the old people used to tell me, the German prisoners just to be singing up a storm.
Those weren't the only visitors.
You could say at that time he was the most famous person in the world.
Charles Lindbergh came through town.
You know how little towns are. You're supposed to keep a secret. Well, that didn't work. There was about 500 people down there that day. I'd taken these myself of Charles A. Lindbergh, November 18th, 1927. It was W.C. Hoover Field, and she signed her name Rebecca. That was my Aunt Becky.
At the museum, you can see more photos of Lindbergh's visit as well as other parts of the town's history. In Timberville, Monica Casey, WHSV. This B-17 aircraft is one of just a few still flying in the United States. Over the next 2 days, you could have the chance not only to step foot inside, but also to take a quick ride.
It's not like one of these jets where you just push a button and you're going to go somewhere. You're actually hands-on the whole time. 17 is particularly heavy on the controls because there's no boost or anything. It's all pulley and cable. Sometimes you're wrestling a gorilla, and sometimes you're afraid you're going to fall asleep.
A mobile memorial taking you up in the air and back in time.
909 was one of the most famous airplanes in the 8th Air Force. It did 140 missions. It never lost a crew member to combat, never missed a target, and never had a mechanical aboard.
Some visitors to the Shenandoah Valley Airport canceling plans and traveling 2.5 hours for the exhibit.
My dad, Walter Ferguson Freeman, was a bombardier on a B-24, the Liberator, in Italy, the last 2 years of the war. He was 17 when he signed on. He lied about his age. He co-signed for his mom. That was what war was back then.
The Wings of Freedom tour educates.
We try to bring the veterans out to talk to the kids and tell them what it was like.
I came today to walk through the plane that is similar to the one that he flew.
And honors those who served with the Living History event.
The conversations that I've had today with the men that are here that were in World War II are more than special. I just value every single veteran of every single war that keeps us free America.
All 4 planes will be here at SHG until Friday at noon, ready to fly you back into the 1940s. In Weir's Cave, Monica Casey, WHSV.
My oldest son, Adam, was killed in a racing accident. And out of that tragedy came the camp. So every time I see a kid leave camp with that smile on his face, then I know Adam's still here with us.
Victory Junction is a camp in North Carolina for children with chronic and life-threatening illnesses.
We've seen over 26,000 kids totally free of charge. This ride itself has sent around 8,000 kids to that camp.
It is the best experience, other than this ride, you'll ever have.
Riders get a personal connection to the children they're helping.
Each one had a little tag with information and details about him. This was from Anthony, he's 10, and had attended the camp in the past. And we look forward, we're going to attempt to get his name and address and send it back to him with a thank you gift for supporting us and keeping us safe on the ride.
The charity ride includes some big names.
You got Herschel Walker, you got George Rogers, you got Richard Petty was with us yesterday, David Reagan, Harry Gant, so many great guys.
But also local fans at each stop.
It's the first time I've been a part of anything like this.
It's very humbling to be with this group.
You know, the kids deserve it. You know, think as it was your own children.
From Petty's personal pain comes a camp that brings joy.
I lost a son and have gained 26,000 other kids that are part of my family, so it means so much. I can't even put into words what it means when you see these kids at camp.
In Winchester, Monica Casey, WHSV.